I think we've been learning. We're going to find out tonight. That's the thing that you want this time of year is you want to the things that you've worked on from training camp. You want to continue to work on, and then you want to watch your team learn as it suffers the ups and downs of the daily NHL schedule. So you get shut out twice. You want to be able to come back and make an adjustment or two, make sure we're aware of it, and not just kind of hope that we'd start scoring more, but do good things to score goals and not give up more to do that. So I think we're learning, and we'll get a good test on that tonight.
On the injury front, do you have an update on Aaron Ekblad?
Ekblad's in at 100%. He felt he was at about 90 for the Oiler game, and we have healthy defense, and we just didn't want to take that risk. So he's ready to go. Other than that, there's no changes up front. Stoley will play in net tonight.
And then, as you mentioned, just Lundell and Tkachuk still out with illness.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a bunch of guys deal with it. We've had some guys were able to play through it. They didn't have it as significantly, and it's taken a bit of a toll on us here. But both guys, I mean, I think Gad just hopefully is going to come into Calgary today, and then we'll be able to take him back. Lundell is here. He just won't be able to play tonight.
What do you think about the second line last game, how they executed?
Barkov's line?
The Benny line.
Oh. Well, that was last night, right? And that's what we look for. Like, there are nights that the Bennett line is the dominant line. And then, and early we've had it when Lundell and Luciano get it going. Those are the big guys. So I like that they started to look the way they have in the past. The three of them were moving in the offensive zone. Just Bennett's power play goal, you've seen that goal before. Give him a hole, he drives into it, beats the goaltender. So, you know, the injury that Matthew had in the summer, I mean, he was able to skate. The one that Benny had, he wasn't able to skate. I think it's just taken these guys a little time to get to feeling right in the games.
Paul, big picture question. Do you really believe that players get motivated to play against their ex-teams, or is that just a very convenient storyline for someone like me? Like, is there that extra motivation?
It's an awareness. I think that it's a function of 82 games, right? You're looking for some sort of anomaly on any night, right? It's the city with your favorite Italian restaurant in the night before. I don't know, something that kind of gets you going a little bit. But for sure, you want to perform well, right? You want to. I think that the challenge though sometimes can be if you come from a close knit group and you play a physical style of game. You know, if that's what you do, it's a little hard to run your best buddy through the end wall. And if you didn't like the guy, you wouldn't break stride. So that can be, I think you do see sometimes players play a little quieter game against a group that they were there for a long time, really connected to. But if they get traded and they didn't want to be, yeah, they're ready.
All three of these guys that were involved in that trade signed pretty long extensions at big money. Like, as a coach, what advice would you give a player that wants to live up to the expectation, or how do you approach the expectation that comes with those big deals?
Every player is so different. I think it's different. My experience it's been different with a defenseman. Defenseman that signs a big deal feels like he's got to go out and put numbers up every night, and that's got very little to do with being a defenseman in the NHL, right? You've got to play the game and let it happen, and if you're driving, even Brian McCabe, who's on our staff, big part of our player development. I had him in Toronto, he had the big year, and then the next year he signed a big ticket. He felt like he needed to do something every time he touched the puck, and he had a tough year. Forwards, I don't know, we're talking about guys that are past that entry-level portion in their career. For the most part, they kind of already earned the money in some ways, right? It's not like they're 22 and they just signed a 9-year deal that they're going to grow into. I don't know, Chucky just goes out and plays. I haven't ever had to talk to him about him. Like, he's playing a better brand of hockey quality defensively right now for us than he did easily at this point last year. He's a better player right now. I'm pretty sure that Sam Reinhart's our leading scorer, and after that, I really can't tell you. I don't look at those numbers; don't mean that much to us. So I would think, boy, I beat this one to death, eh?
Well,
you know what? I wouldn't give him a lot of advice because nobody ever signed me to a $10 million deal. What the hell am I going to tell that guy?
Okay, but Paul, a lot of people. Matthew Tkachuk this morning is 108th in the NHL scoring race.
Yeah, we're good with it.
Yeah. Okay, that's.
So why would I believe that if I'm in Calgary? That's just the coach talking.
Yeah. Well,
I don't care.
That's a great question. I wish I had asked that.
Yeah. So at no point in this season has he cheated a route.
Okay.
Has he shown any sign that has changed who he is, how he moves around the room?
Yeah.
He's out there playing his butt off.
Yeah.
So what else is there? Well, I mean, we're not in first place, but we're okay. We like our game. We like the way we play. Doesn't matter. He's going to get hot at some point in streak, and they'll say he's back, and I'll just say he's never really gone.
Which is 900 games for Tkachuk. Look off the
Yeah.
Him at 2 different stops. Just what do you credit that longevity to?
This is an interesting guy because he plays a harder game. Every year he seems to play a harder game. We had Winnipeg. He came off a really tough back injury that he's kind of suffered through in Buffalo. And the player that we have here today is markedly better than the player that I had in Winnipeg because he just hadn't healed yet. Like it really set him back. And then I was surprised by that number. I thought maybe 700 maybe because he's been injured a bit. This is a tough guy. And that's what I think about him now is he's the best pro version of himself because he works hard at it and he tries to get better. He had 2 or 3 good heavy hits there in Edmonton. His game is better. I think he's more relaxed in his own skin. Like he knows his game. He's not trying to get on the power play. He's just going out and playing hard. So he's a good story. He's a good quiet story that the guys in the room would know and love.
Paul, from a head coach's perspective, big picture and experience aside, what did that run do for the returning group and your entire player roster?
Well, we didn't have to sell a lot of the defensive parts of the game. That would be a really important thing. So our our defensive numbers right now at this point are miles better than they were last year at this point because we were still learning and we hung on to that. And then we had some success in the playoffs. So when you come back in, you don't have to sell quite as hard because the things that we spent all last year working on were hard things to do on a consistent basis. I think we've got those down pretty good. If you looked at our season this year, you would say what's been lacking is some offense, some of the scoring. And I also think that's a function of Montour, Ekblad, and Bennett being out for almost the first 20 games. They drive a lot of that, so I'm particularly worried about it. It just cements the faith in, okay, well, if we do the hard things, some good things will happen. And I think with those guys out, we had a bit of success. We got ourselves, a little bit over the 500 bar. So they continued to buy in. Okay, guys.
Thanks, Coach.